this video, I'm going to be taking a look at Lofi Meditations, try to make some music with it and see what happens. So here I kind of found a loop that I like. I tend to call these song starters. Maybe then I'm just going to duplicate it. You've got a number of kicks. It's got a nice variety of sounds that you can use. Heavy is like one of my favorites though, because it has a little bit of that top end to it that's really nice. Let's see if we can find a snare to add into this. You can see the snare library is pretty long too, about 43 one-shots. Another cool thing about this pack is if you look into the grooves folder, everything is sort of organized also by larger categories. And some of these larger categories are compositionally related. So in other words, here you can see I started with this song starter, which was Sunny. And if I go to my groove menu, you can see all these other sounds that were developed in relation to each other, almost like a big, gigantic template. This is very easy to use, and it's especially useful for people that might be making music, maybe in a live context, or they're DJing, or they're using sampling hardware and they need to trigger things. This can actually really provide a lot of organization also to your sessions, however you make music, whether it's in a DAW or it's in a piece of hardware. Look in the Sunny category, and I could see there's some related grooves. Like here I've got a guitar synth track, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to drag and drop that in. That I use. So it's designed to help you combine things together from the same pack. This is something I wanted to do also with a big sample pack. So there's tons of song starters, compilations, drums, even a Midi library. And for my YouTube audience, I wanted to offer them this pack at a huge discount. So check the code word in the description to get that if you're interested in it. I'm just doing some mixing of the track here, kind of reining things in, some EQ. I like to group the kick and the snare together to do basically like a ducking compression technique on the other loops, like the music loops, the song starters as I call them. Here I'm using FabFilter to do that. I've got a pretty decent tutorial on ducking compression on this channel, so I'll put the video tag up in the right corner. I'm also doing some opto compression here. Even with loops, you want to rein them in dynamically. So this is just some really basic mixing techniques I'm doing here. You can try some other kind of cool things, like sometimes I go in and basically switch something into like a reverse element. So as this transitions into the next section, get that like a cool kind of moment there. And here you can see I'm actually going to start doing some overdubbing into the track. So adding bass guitar, lead guitar, rhythm guitar. I like to overdub into a track once I feel like I have the feel of it down. And I've been thinking of doing tutorials on guitar and bass playing in the future. I do a lot of piano tutorials, but that's something I'm sort of trying to figure out if people want to see videos like that, especially when it comes to arranging and producing. So if that's something you're interested in, put that in the comments below. But basically here I'm just finishing off the track. Adding in the overdubs is a big part of getting that sound for me. Once I have a foundation, I try to lay something on top that gives it my own character and my own spin and twist on it. And then you can see here there's a whole tops menu. There's tons of hi-hats and loops, and really, Lofi Meditations has basically everything in it. So you could find a fair amount of just about every element you'd think of, including some instruments you wouldn't normally find. Like harmonicas and mandolins and stuff like that. And I do a lot of piano tutorials already on the channel, so I'll put a link in the top right corner for something like that. If you're someone who's trying to pick up more piano for your producing, I highly recommend checking them out. They're very approachable. They get you started playing these types of styles. So here we have another kind of sped up clip of me producing using everything just coming from the sample pack. So using loops. In this case, I actually made a drum rack with one-shots from that menu, layered them in, and started putting some piano in there. Then I went to overdubs. And if you're someone that's trying to learn about piano and how to play more piano into your tracks, we do have a bunch of tutorials about that, especially if you're trying to learn how to play, neo soul or R&B or a little more complex chords besides basic triads. It gets you going in that direction without overwhelming you with tons and tons of theory or tons and tons of technical detail. But here I'm really just arranging and kind of mixing a little bit as I go along. I'm putting in the bass line here. This track kind of came out more varied. Like it didn't really reveal its arrangement to me too simply. I kind of wanted to try different things in it, which was fun because so many of the loops in this pack work together really well, especially when you're trying to add a B section to something, which is sometimes hard to do, especially if you end up pulling stuff from other sample packs that looks a little bit disjointed. Everything flows together, but it's also very unique, which is a lot of fun.